Chapter 1: The 1988 Australia Bicentenary Gold Cup. Way back in the 1980s, when I was young, I worked for an airline. I am not going to give too many details about the job, but I worked for this airline and I had knowledge of flight routes and paths that I acquired while working for them. I was also a soccer aficionado. In 1988, there was a soccer tournament in Australia called Australia Bicentenary Gold Cup. It was a tournament to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Captain Arthur Phillip's settlement in Port Jackson. Two South American teams were invited for this tournament, Argentina and Brazil. By the way, I haven't said it yet, but I'm originally from Brazil, and as a native Brazilian, soccer was the most interesting sport for me. I knew everything about each player, each game, and each national or international tournament. Following all the news reports about our national soccer team and about this tournament, I was told that some members of the Brazilian soccer team would be at Sao Paulo International Airport and they would be departing from there to Rio, where they were going to meet the rest of the team. I ended up missing the opportunity of seeing some of the players at the airport in Sao Paulo, but later in the day when I asked my co-workers if the Brazilian national team had flown to Santiago, Chile, as my logical conclusion was when going to Australia from South America, I was told that the flight had gone from Rio to Los Angeles, LAX. I remember questioning it and talking to my friends at the airport. Los Angeles? But Australia is just a shot across the Pacific on the globe. Why LAX? I just had to accept that because in 1988 there was not much one could do to find information about flights and I didn't have a flat earth map like the Gleason's flat earth map that I could compare with the globe. I had never heard of a flat earth before. Besides, for me at that time there was nothing more interesting than soccer. Could the Brazilian national team have just taken a regular passenger flight? The picture below is from Boeing 747-400, which flew the route Rio-Los Angeles. Varig, an extinct Brazilian airline, was the official carrier of the Brazilian soccer team for some time, and they had a flight Sao Paulo, Rio, Los Angeles, and then on to Tokyo. Varig Flight 832/833. Could it have been that flight that carried the Brazilian team to Australia? Was it a chartered flight? Did it fly straight from Los Angeles to Sydney? I just couldn't find any information on that. Please compare this flat path on the globe and on the flat earth map on image 02 on the next page. Had I had a flat earth map back in 1988, as I do have one today, I would have understood clearly what went on back then. Even when comparing this flight on a Mercator projection, as in the picture below, this flight path still won't make sense on a globe. For the team, it would have made more sense to have flown to Santiago, Chile, and then from there flown directly to Sydney. As I thought before, a flight from South America towards Australia would be a straight shot across the Pacific Ocean. Why didn't they take that route? If they were flying on a regular passenger flight, Varig had two flights to Santiago, Chile. On the other hand, if the Brazilian team had flown chartered, they could have flown at any time either to Santiago, Chile or Buenos Aires, Argentina, and then on to Sydney, Australia. These were the questions on my mind back in 1988, when I had no knowledge of the true shape of the Earth. More questions about flights arose when China Airlines Flight 008 made an emergency landing in Anchorage, Alaska on October 7, 2015. This is the topic for the next chapter.